Hey guys, so this is Raymond, and this is the first in my video series to talk about the sports aspect of Filipino martial arts. Right? And today what we're going to do is we're going to get started with defining what does it mean when we talk about the sports aspect of Filipino martial arts. Alright, so as with any kind of martial art or any kind of endeavor, when we talk about the sport, right, we, especially in martial arts, we distinguish it from actually fighting someone or from a real fight. So it's even different compared to a duel, right? So those are three very different things: a self-defense situation, a duel, and sports. What's the main difference? In a self-defense situation and in a duel, right, the stakes are really high. It's life and death. You use all the techniques that you can use, as long as it's appropriate for those situations. And I don't really want to talk about that right now. We'll talk about it in a future video. So when we talk about sports, you don't use everything, right? So that's one of the main things. The other thing is when you're talking about sports, it's a way to test your skill in a safe environment. So in this case, safety is a higher priority compared to realism. So those are two things that have kind of zero-sum relationship with each other, right? When it comes to sports, you want realism as much as possible, but you also want safety. And typically, the higher the realism goes, the lower the safety becomes, right? Now, there are different factors that affect safety, right? So it could be the protective equipment. You know, anyone who's watched a sparring video online would know we wear helmets, we wear body protectors, sometimes we don't. We wear gloves, we wear elbow and knee guards, sometimes we don't, groin guards, that kind of thing. That's one way to increase safety, right? But obviously, as you're increasing safety with all of that protective equipment, you're also diminishing realism, right? What I mean is, when was the last time you fought someone with a helmet, right? Like, I've never seen anyone get mugged, and while they were getting mugged, they actually had the helmet on. Nobody, right? So that's the thing. But we wear those things to make the sports safer, right? But because it's so safe, it affects the realism. So it's how it removes a lot of your senses. Like your hearing ability goes down, your vision is seriously impaired. A good set of that kind of helmet would actually have a bar running across your eye. It's the most irritating thing in the world, but you want that bar there so that just in case a stick goes towards your eye, it gets deflected out of the way. So there's going to be a bar right across your eye. The trick is how to focus past that bar. That's one of the skills that you learn. So actually moving and compensating with the armor on, compensating for the armor, is actually a skill in itself. And it's a skill that you do for sports, which is absolutely unnecessary, right, in self-defense situations, right? But you know, there is always that relationship with self-defense and sports. Sports gives you a way to test your skill in a realistic fashion, right? So anyone that I've met, now this is a bit of a rant on my part, a bit of a tangent, but anyone you've met and he'd say, oh, we don't spar, we don't do sports because we want to be realistic. I'm like, how else are you training yourselves, right? Like there is no other way to improve your skills. You say, oh no, the technique will see me through. No. You doing the technique is only one part of the equation. You're always fighting against another guy, and you really need sports to be able to bridge that gap. You know, from the technique as you practice it, the theoretical, to the realistic, like you're using it in a self-defense or a dueling situation. The middle point is sports. It gives you an idea of how well you're going to do in a realistic situation, but it's not a perfect 100% guide. You know, there's a psychological factor. Like people, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't happen in sports that you'll have to encounter in self-defense. Like one of the major things I've noticed is people don't want to hurt each other, right? Like if you watch any videos of people fighting each other, even with swords and stuff, and so you think these guys really want to kill each other, But when they do fight each other, right? Just watch it again. It's very often they hit the leg, right? They hit the leg, they hit the arm, they hit over the head or something, like here in the general vicinity of the front part. They're not aiming at the head exactly, they're aiming somewhere in the front. So it's like they're trying to catch the hands. Um, it's a psychological effect. I might talk about that on another day. But yeah, it's something that you have to deal with in real life, but you don't really have to deal with in sports. So there is a difference. But what I'm saying is, from the theoretical and the practicing with your partner and everything, you ramp up the realism, decrease the safety until you get to the realm of sports, where nothing is choreographed and you're trying to honestly use the technique. All right, so next time I'm going to talk about something else, and I'm going to continue to